Well, hello and welcome to Nitro Nights with me, Tom Deacon. It's an absolute pleasure. You could join us for the first ever show. This show is going to be dropping on a Monday, a Wednesday, and on a Friday, bringing you all of your esports racing needs in one place. We'll be looking around the world for all of the news and bringing it to you in a beautiful small package every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, my name's Tom Deacon. If you've seen me before, I host the F1 Esports Pro Series with Gfinity, and I've done so for the last 3 years. If you've not, it doesn't matter because you are in the right place right now for Nitro Nights. And every single episode, I'll be bringing you a brand new guest to come and join me. And today is no different. So, Dani Juncadella, please welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, Tom. Thanks for introducing me. Yeah, great to be part of this show. With these days that we're staying at home, it's a good time to have a chat with people and show a bit what we're doing in this quiet time, and actually not so quiet, because with all that much action with is going on with iRacing and with all the kind of esports with gaming, it's not a bad time either.
No, it's definitely not a bad time. And I have to say, I love that chair. I'm very envious. You're currently sat in your sim rig, I believe.
Oh yeah, I spent so many hours here, and I have all my setup here for streaming, for driving. So yeah, I figured that was the best place I could join you guys for this show. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, Dani, for those who sort of followed or seen your fantastic career in motor racing, just give us a brief synopsis of some of the amazing things that you've done.
Well, I started very late with racing, to be fair. I think it was when I was around 13, 14 years old, with karting, obviously. What made me decide about racing is I was a huge passionate of Formula One, of those fights with Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen. And then a Spanish driver got into Formula One, which was Fernando Alonso, and got the first ever win for a Spanish driver. And I was like, okay, I want to be like Fernando Alonso. And so I started in karting, a bit of a late age, 13, 14, and then climbed up quite quickly into single seaters, started with Formula BMW. I got into the Red Bull Junior team at the time, raced 2 years for them. I was vice champion in the Formula BMW Europe. But then I was dropped by the program, by the junior team, because Helmut Marko said finishing second was not enough. So I should have won the championship to stay. And that was a big hit. Then I did 3 years Formula 3 with Mercedes. And on my second year, I won the Macau Grand Prix, which was, I would say that was a turning point in my career. That was in 2011. That was probably a point where I believed that I could make it into a professional racing and professional racing driver. I won the championship in 12, Formula 3 European Championship, and then I went into DTM. I had a chance to race in Formula 2, but obviously the budget was not there for me at the time, and had to decide to get a professional contract with Mercedes-Benz in DTM. And I stayed from 2013 until last year in DTM. Last year, obviously, only with Aston Martin, because Mercedes decided to drop the program and focus on Formula E. And yeah, I would say it's been a difficult time in DTM, a lot of up and downs. Started with a lot of downs the first couple of years, because coming as a Formula 3 champion, I would expect it to be straight ahead on top. It wasn't the case. I had so many issues on those first couple of years. But then in 18, I won my first race in DTM with Mercedes, got 3 pole positions that year. Again, a turning point in my DTM career, I would say. But unfortunately, that stopped with last year Aston Martin having a difficult year, and this year the program from Aston Martin has been dropped as well, unfortunately, in DTM. So yeah, we'll see. 2020 is obviously a weird year for everybody with the current status, but let's see what happens. Let's see what comes. My interests now are obviously to keep my career in GTs with Aston Martin. That's the first main goal, and then I have a lot of passion for single seaters still, and the Formula E obviously always rings a bell because it's a championship that is growing so much, and sim racing, it's constantly growing. Let's see where this takes us.
Yeah, indeed, Danny, because you did mention one of those, the F3 Macau Grand Prix win 2011. You talk about that as a turning point in your career, and now, due to the situation, we haven't actually addressed it in the show so far. Obviously, COVID-19 is around the world, and we hope that everyone watching is safe and well. And our thoughts are with you. It has led to sim racing being on the rise because it's the only competitive racing that we can see every weekend. You were sim racing before that, though. I kind of want to delve into where you were with your esports racing before this crisis at the moment.
I was, yeah. I started at a very early age, I would say, with sim racing, with Race '07 in the game was Race Room. Well, it's actually what is Race Room now, but it was just called Race '07 before you could download it on Steam. That was the World Touring Car Championship official game. That was in 2007, I would say. So I did that for like a couple of years with my own just portable computer, very simple steering on my table with a chair, and then I a couple of years back, so like from 13, 14, 15, I did a lot of Assetto Corsa, mostly for preparing myself for the DTM races, also for learning some tracks. I thought the game was very good on graphics. The quality was pretty accurate. And I did try iRacing for a bit, but I didn't really jump into it because I didn't have the right hardware at home. I had a very simple setup, and I realized I was struggling a lot. But actually, from October in 2019, last year, I downloaded iRacing once again. I got the right stuff, the right sim, everything up to the standards that iRacing requires. And to be fair, I did put a lot of hours into it since October because we finished the season quite early in DTM. And it's paid off because I feel I'm up to speed in just a couple of months, and obviously enjoying it a lot. I think the physics are great, the graphics are also fantastic, and the racing it's unbelievable.
Oh, well, listen, Danny, thank you for giving those watching who are new to esports racing, sim racing, kind of a little bit of a flavor of what you were about. And I like the fact you're talking about there. You got the right gear, and then you're able to work on it and improving at the moment. And we're going to be talking about that in the show today. Just to let everybody know the topics that we are going to be covering. We are talking about how sim racing saves the world during Corona. A little bit of a tongue-in-cheek title there, but at the current time, this is where people are able to really just have a bit of light in the darkness. And if you're into your esports racing, then you're able to race and keep pushing yourself, and then hopefully make your way to some live races at the weekend. Also going to be delving into how realistic is sim racing. It's a topic that always gets brought up, but an interesting one, and I want to get your viewpoints on that, Danny. And then finally, we previewing the weekend, the Porsche Digital Cup and the Race All-Star. So that's on the way. And Danny, do you want to add any more topics in the mix, or are you all right, three?
I'm happy with that. If you want, we can talk also a little bit about hardware. If you want to add, I will add it on our conversations about sim racing. I think I got to learn a bit what kind of material you would need to be at the highest level, and what would be enough just to race against the top pros.
Okay, I think we'll put that down as Danny's top tips for hardware. We'll put that down as that. Okay, Danny. Let's start then. Obviously, we've mentioned it currently, and I don't want to dwell too much on that. But what has come from it is this isolation for fans of esports racing and racing in general. There are no live races. So what's been happening on the weekends is drivers like yourself have been competing. And it's given us fans something to watch and a little bit of joy. For example, not the Grand F1 Masters game. Also, a show that I hosted, the virtual Grand Prix on the same game, F1 Codemasters 2019, but also eNASCAR on iRacing, which you mentioned, and also Team Redline, Real Racers Never Quit, that series on iRacing. That's something you took part in. Let's talk about how you got involved in that then, Danny.
Well, yeah, let's go step by step. So I think the first race we did was a Team Redline organized just a fun event. It was at Silverstone with a BMW M8 GTE fixed setup. That was a couple of weeks back, I would say, with some sim racers, some pros, and that was good fun. Then obviously the all-star race from the race, they contacted me to do the Air Factor 2 race with the Formula One, then with the tattoos PM18, and last weekend and this Saturday again we're racing again, and that has been great. But to be fair, we thought, so I was speaking with Antonio Felix da Costa, Jordan Pepper, and Lando Norris about the fact that some people are just concerned by the fact that, okay, we are showing the world these professional drivers racing from their sim, from their home when they cannot race outside, but they are getting hammered by some pro sim racers. I think the first race from the race, Max Verstappen was great. I think he was seventh, or Felix Rosenquist even he finished seventh, but the top six were sim racers. And I got loads of messages, people asking me like how these guys can be quicker than you and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, guys, these people are really training a lot and they are at a very high level. And so we figured maybe, some people want to probably see the real pros or the real life pros just going at it between them, and not see somebody who's a sim racer, which they don't even know who he is, winning the races and beating the pros. So we decided, let's make a fun series. Let's make a championship just professional drivers, because maybe that's what people want to see at home. And some guys, like not myself, because like I said, I've been training since October in iRacing, but some people probably just got the game 1 week ago and just got their sim 5 days ago, and they don't want to go against the sim racers, which are super experienced and they are high quality drivers. So yeah, we did this series, Real Racers Never Quit, obviously with the help from Team Redline, because they are obviously helping us with the organization and with monitoring the races, then broadcasting the races as well. And I think it's been a great success. It's been a lot of fun so far, and it's great because you can probably qualify on P25 or whatever, and you're probably fighting against a DTM champion or a Formula E champion or whatever sort of professional driver there is on the field. And that's great because people at home really want to see us just going at it between us, and it's good fun. We're gonna decide to invite some sim racers at some events, of course, because we want to mix them up with us. And these guys, it's not that we have anything against them, because I keep racing against these people just before this lockdown, and I love going at it against them, because I think these people, they have a big chance to one day make it into the real world if sim racing keeps getting as big as it is. And hats off to these guys, because they are very, very impressive. And the race event you just mentioned, tomorrow we are racing again, and I'm probably going to get my ass kicked by these sim racers if I don't practice enough.
Indeed, I love the way that you were mentioning there, Danny, about just finding the right balance. Talking of balance, I noticed there's a fair amount of lag while we're having this chat, and we'll try and fix that definitely as soon as possible for the next episode on Monday. So bear with us on that, guys. But in the meantime, something there about finding the right balance of drivers. Taking a look at the list of drivers that competed with you, I believe it's on Twitter. There was a spot there. Some fantastic drivers. What names stood out for you that you were a little bit like, this guy's got the minerals, that this is going to be a tough test?
The one and only Max Verstappen, to be fair. He is, I've been experienced, like I said, with iRacing the last couple of months, and I've been racing quite a lot against Max, against Lando, against Ankan Guven. This guy is probably not as popular in Europe with around the world, probably, but I think he's a top driver, and also on iRacing, he's really, really good. He's a Porsche Super Cup driver, I think official Porsche driver as well. Who else? But I mean, if you look at the list, it's unbelievable level. But from iRacing, the ones that are most experienced are these three. Nicky Tim as well. He has been racing a lot and he's super quick. And And then Lorenzo Colombo, this is Italian kid that in the first event we did qualified on pole with the Formula 3. So he was straight away there. Matt Campbell as well. I've been practicing a couple of times with him. He's very quick. He didn't join the event so far because we're doing it at a time that I think he's in Australia, and obviously it's not as easy for him to race at 4 a.m. But yeah, no. I mean, look at the list. It's great.
Conditions wouldn't be ideal for him. And what's interesting, and we chatted about this before we went live to record this, on Monday, you're driving in an F3 car, West GT, and then Friday, it's a surprise car, which makes it entertaining and interesting for those at home, knowing that you haven't really had time to practice or work on the setup.
Exactly. We try to make it as equal as possible and give everybody the same chance. There's some guys there that are married, they have kids, they have to spend the time with their families. I got my girlfriend here at home. I don't want to stay the whole day here inside my simulator. Otherwise, people just feel that your only attention is the simulator, and just enjoying yourself and not spending time with your loved ones or with your friends, with your family. And we're just making a couple of hours practice, opening a server just before the race event. We are announcing the car, especially for Fridays, just in about, it's going to be like 3-4 hours before the event. And then we announce the track only 5 minutes. We open the server so that nobody really knows. And I'm part of the organization, but I'm not obviously the one designing the track. There is one guy that is designing it, and he's choosing it last minute, so nobody really gets the real practice on track. And then the setup is fixed. So in the end, we try to make it as equal as possible for everybody.
Yeah, well, it sounds like this guy has got it locked down on secret, because I had a little Google before and couldn't find out where you're going to be racing tonight. So well done to you on that. I want to talk about the crash, though. Everyone's talking about it. Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Just as a reminder for everybody, this is what happened. What did you see in this? We'll play this and then we'll comment on
here, all the way into that corner. Tries to find his own space to work with, but somehow he keeps it all together as Verstappen and Norris go side by side. But Verstappen is spun. Norris is in the barriers as well. Van der Linde leads this race now.
What did you make of that, Danny?
Well, that was a bit of an unfortunate crash, I would say. So Max obviously was very aggressive before the braking, where he kind of tangled a bit with Kelvin van der Linde, and then but he went ahead. He brake blade overtook the two guys into the corner, which is fair enough. Then he was a bit wide, and unfortunately, I think he just touched the grass on exit. And iRacing has changed the tire model a little bit. That now, if you go a little bit off track, it's like ice. It's like a black hole. So he just lost the car and then spun into Lando, which is very unfortunate for Lando. I don't think he had anything wrong there. We all know Max is overly aggressive. He's an aggressive guy, but that's what makes him as good as he is as well. And he lost the car there and spun into Lando. Luckily for this event, we had no damages in the car, because the Formula 3 is a bit spectacular the way it's done in iRacing with the damages. And we're thinking what we're going to do for next Monday, if we're going to keep it like that or not. I don't think Max got a warning for that, but we've got our own marshals and race director for these events, so people need to pay attention when they don't behave on track.
Okay, well, that's a word of warning to Max then for that. And obviously, there was also another crash between Lando and Max Verstappen. Just highlighting the current standings for Team Redline, Real Racers Never Quit. Just having a look at it, as you know, you're up there at the moment. What do you make of this at the moment then, as this top five?
Yeah, this is after round one. I think there has been an updated standings, but probably is not there. Probably they haven't published it yet. This was after Spa. I unfortunately crashed on race 2 at the start, so I finished 14th on that race, I think. But after Barcelona, which we raced on Wednesday, Max is still leading by quite a fair chunk. Larry ten Voorde is second. He's Also a surprising guy that is up there very quickly, and I am third. Lando, I think he's dropped down to seventh because he also had an incident on the last race. So yeah, we are all playing catch up against Max, which let's see tonight. I'm excited for tonight because we really need to recover some ground with Super Max.
Yeah, well, I've actually just showed you that, and to everyone at home, just to give you that little bit of encouragement tonight, Dani. And obviously, Barcelona, Catalunya, that was your track. If there was any track for you to improve, that was your track to go. And a name there, Aichana Guvan, who's been doing very well at the moment. In terms of the ability, you just touched on it with the sim racers, professional sim racers versus those drivers. How much time will it be for say an actual driver to catch up with the sim ability that those guys on the sims have?
It's hard to say. It's very hard to say because I found that on sim racing you can find the perfect lap. You can practice. You can reset the car, go back to the box, go out again immediately. It's not like in real racing where things take time. You need to put new tires, you need to refuel the car. Here is very quick, so you can keep practicing and practicing and finding the perfect line, and you end up doing the perfect lap. I realized I could spend 2-3 hours testing with the car on a track and doing 80 laps, and on my 80th lap I would have found 5-6 tenths to my 20th lap where I felt I was already on the limit. And that doesn't happen in real life, because in real life you need to get up to speed quickly. You don't have as much time to train. You don't have days and days of training. And that's what sim racing, that's what makes sim racing so hard and makes these guys so good, because they are so precise. They are so good. They are so professional with training, with finding the limit, finding the tweaks on the setup, finding the little tricks in the game. And these guys, you put them on a race car straight away. If they are physically fit, I put my hands on fire that they would be straight away very, very good. And yeah, that's what makes it so exciting, I would say. And that's what makes us also as racing drivers very passionate about iRacing and esports, because we can find perfection there and then translate that on racing.
Well, that's definitely happening with a fair few drivers that we'll mention later on. I want to ask you about not the Bahrain Grand Prix, and also the show that I hosted, because there's a tweet that I want to talk about from the virtual Grand Prix. Now, that's on the F1 2019 Codemasters game. Did you see any of the action, and also the eNASCAR, which is on iRacing? What did you make of those other races?
I did see a couple of laps from Lando's stream on the North Australian Grand Prix, and I was, because I think he had an issue that he started last, and then he went through the field. I was watching a bit on his onboard. Obviously, his streams are always pretty entertaining. And then I saw a bit of footage from the Bahrain Grand Prix, because I think Philip Eng was on pole, and I just saw the first couple of laps. I saw Johnny Herbert going from last to first, or from 18th to first, because of the incident at the start. And then I saw Philip going with a wild move the inside of that of one corner on the end of the first lap with Johnny, and colliding a bit. And then I didn't follow as much because I was training for our event, but it's obviously very exciting because you see the way the game is made. It's very good for the viewers. I had a lot of people texting me asking me, why did I not do the Formula One race? Honestly, I don't have the game and I haven't played it, but it's very attractive the way the game is built. I don't know about the physics, about how good it is compared to iRacing, because I haven't tried it, but obviously the way it is, it's good fun, and in the end it's Formula One. It's the right the Formula One cars that they're using for the season, and it's all these kind of events. I really like them because it's just, for the people at home, it's just entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely how we build the night. The show that I was doing, Virtual Grand Prix, it was built for, I guess, entertainment, because you had a lot of non-sim racers, the likes of the golfer Ian Poulter, Liam Payne from former One Direction, a musician, was competing. They hadn't had the time to get in that rig. So I suppose there's a difference at the moment with races. you could have a purist race, and you could have one just for the entertainment. I want to ask you about Max Benecker's tweet that we can see, which you actually agreed with. I just wanted to delve into that a little bit on this show. He said, watching this #virtual GP makes me laugh and almost cry at the same time. This has nothing to do with sim racing. This game is anything but ready for it. A hype is nice, but please not like this. So, and then obviously you said with over 10 times more viewers than last days of RF2 and iRacing or proper events, sad, because most of them are going to go to bed tonight with this idea of sim racing. I think that's really interesting to delve into, because people who are new to esports racing and sim racing will say, hey, that was entertaining. That's probably the level I might be able to compete at if I'm just starting. And there could be like a scale. Is that how you felt?
Well, I felt it's good fun, to watch, because like some people really liked it. I got people asking me, wow, this is fun to watch and stuff. But obviously I'm not recommending people to go straight away into the Formula One game, because it's a bit of a like we saw in the coverage. Probably it was not as clear, but there was a lot of crashes at the back. Johnny Herbert going through, cutting the track, going first. Like, people did not really understand what was happening there, and that's not the real sim racing, of course, but that's, like I said, entertainment. And in the end, we are having so many races around these days that are being broadcasted, that people have everything they want. They can see fun races, they can see shunt fest, they can see professional sim races, and they can see whatever they want. So obviously, if you want to go into sim racing, into proper sim racing, what these guys are doing, like Max Benecke and the top sim racers in the world, you're not going to go for that race, because that's what I think. That's what made him tweet that, and my answer is basically talking about the sim racing itself, the physics itself, because the way it is made in iRacing, I think, is completely different. R Factor 2 as well. I'm not that experienced with R Factor 2, but I think the physics are really spot on, and you see the real racing, or the real accurate physics there. But in the end, it's all about entertaining ourselves and entertaining the people at home. And even even sometimes you could even argue that from the real racing, what is the real racing? Formula One sometimes looks fake as well, and sometimes Formula One is boring as well. And you would say, oh, come on, I'd rather watch NASCAR or watch IndyCar or watch DTM or watch Formula E. So in the end, it's just depending on what you want to see and what you want to achieve. And I think we have so many different games, different softwares, that there's a lot to choose. But obviously, a guy like Max that is coming from iRacing, he would rather see professional races from iRacers than the Formula One game. But it's just a matter of how you see it.
Yeah, definitely a matter of choice. I know Max Verstappen doesn't have the F1 game. That's what he said. So he won't be competing. But if you want me to, Danny, I can put in a good word if you want to come and join us in the next virtual Grand Prix. I'm just saying, I can put in a good word for you, Danny.
Yeah, sure. I've been canceling a lot of events, to be fair, because like I said, now it's growing a lot. So tonight I have this Real Racers Never Quit event. Tomorrow it's the race. Then on Sunday it was the the old Blancpain race on Assetto Corsa Competizione, which is the official game for the World GT Endurance Series, which is where I'm going to race. And my team is asking me to do that race, and I don't have that game. And I said, guys, I need a rest as well. Like, I need to have one day off. But sure, I'm always interested in all kind of series, kind of events, and it's good fun, because it's entertaining, and I don't think anyone would ever say no to any proper event, like even the Formula One event. Maybe Max Benecke, if you ask him, probably after that tweet, he probably wouldn't want to do that Formula One race. But I think, any race that is attracting people, viewers, it's always interesting for anyone. And even if it's not as accurate or as real life.
Yeah. Oh well, I think it's exciting, and that's definitely how we should see this as entertainment. When you look at the viewers numbers watching, it definitely looks like this current time globally it is influencing sim racing, and I think that's something that people want to talk about. You look at the virtual Bahrain Grand Prix, 395,000. That was the peak viewers, and so forth. Interesting enough, though. Is this a temporary boost for sim racing, or do you see this as a really, you say in your career, a turning point? Do you think this is a turning point for sim racing and esports racing in general to be given a bigger platform? And it just so happens that now in the current climate, it's getting that attention.
I think it's a very good time for it, but we will need to wait and see what happens when the real action resumes, because everything is going to be also very tight on the calendar for this year. And I think at least for the off-season times, sim racing is going to grow a lot. Like, let's say Formula One drivers. I know Max spends a lot of time in iRacing whenever he has the chance, but by the season end, I think December, January, February, that's a very good time for professional drivers to go race in another online championship and make it grow even as much. And when you see also guys sim racers beating professional drivers, I think that's going to be a good chance to give these kids or these people a chance to try a real car and give them an opportunity, because it's the best platform for it. And the games are getting so close to reality that these guys that are super quick in these games are going to be very, very good also in real life. Who knows? Costs are rising in real racing. So one day sim racing could be the real thing.
One
I
day,
wouldn't. I wouldn't mind, to be fair, because it's a lot of
well, you've
fun.
put the
And
hours in, Danny.
I
You've
have,
put the
yeah,
hours in. You're ahead of the
and
game.
it, and you see it's attracting people a lot, and people are watching from home. And even Formula One nowadays, or proper racing, there's a lot of people at the tracks, but there's a lot of people watching from home as well. And the reach you have online is massive. I'm not saying real racing has to stop or is going to stop, but I think we need to push sim racing to grow even further. And I'm a real racing driver. I'm not a sim racer, but I'm happy to help it promote.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate you in the sim racing world. Just talking about how realistic it is, I want to show you this first from the NASCAR winner. This is Denny Hamlin on SportsCenter after an interview. See what he has to say here.
Hamlin led 14 laps, won the race. He'll donate $6,400 to benefit families affected by the coronavirus.
Chase Briscoe and Garrett Smithley.
And there is your winner. Joining us here on SportsCenter, Denny Hamlin. Got to be the only guy with 3 Daytonas and 2 hole-in-ones on planet Earth. That's a pretty cool resume to have, Denny. So tell me, is this trophy going to go in front of the Daytona trophies or behind them?
I tell you what, it can go in front of them because it's virtual and it's invisible.
Perfect. So what's the experience of iRacing compared to the real thing?
I don't think there's any other sport that can get as close. I mean, I think if you ask NBA players to go play NBA 2K, it's not going to look like the real thing. If you go ask football players to play Madden, it's not going to look nearly like it did. And it's just, it drives so similar. I mean, we have professional rigs that we run on. The inputs for the steering wheel and the gas and the brake is all identical. The feel of the car is identical. So, I mean, it's as close as you can honestly get.
Jimmy Johnson turned out to be...
There you go, Danny. Obviously talking about how similar it is, and there's not much difference from Denny. Would you agree with Denny there? And obviously, you mentioned earlier that you would get into sim racing so you could get your mind ready for the tracks and really look at the tracks and how how you're driving them to know them, learn them. But in terms of the physics, how do you find it?
I couldn't agree more, to be honest, with what he says. I've been trying iRacing for the last 5-6 months, and it's impressive how good it is, how close to reality some tracks are, the physics of the game. To be fair, there is one point that needs to be improved, and I think overall that's the hardest bit, which is the tire model. The tire model in the games are very, I think I would say they are still very weak. iRacing has updated the tire model for the last couple of weeks with the GT cars and I think a lot of cars, and I don't think they made a step forward there, but that's just my opinion, and I think many real drivers also agree with it. But I think, yeah, even if you're not racing your real car or you're not with the same car, the way the racing is done and the way you compete against others, like long races, strategies, working on the setup, it's just everything is so close to reality that you can do a lot of mental preparation, with these races, and then the physical preparation you can do it either, because we have this kind of hardware that you can set up your pedals and your steering to a force that you would like to have, make it as close as possible to your real car, and or even harder and make it more physical. And to be fair, I'm sweating a lot when I'm driving against these guys and competing, so I think it's the best preparation you can get. And we are only starting, because it's only growing now a lot, and it's gonna get even better. So yeah, I really agree with what he says.
Well, these are exciting times, Danny. We're coming almost to the end of the show. We need to preview the races this weekend, but you did mention you would like to talk about the hardware quickly. What sort of hardware would you recommend for anybody watching this show who would like to give it a go?
Yeah, I just want to give a quick tip to the people watching if they want to get started into sim racing, because some people will just Google what is the best material and probably buy the wrong stuff, or spend the money on the wrong stuff. And I have a very, very quick summary, which for me, the number one thing is the computer and the graphics. So you need to have a strong computer that supports has a good graphic card, and also a good monitor instead of a TV. Don't use a TV, use a monitor if possible, with a high refresh rate. 144 hertz is the best you can get, and I think that's just enough. And the next thing, which is also as important, would be the pedals. The pedals are very important for every game, especially iRacing. Load cell pedals, like I use Hoisingveld. It's I think a manufacturer from the Netherlands, have very, very good pedals. SimTag is another very good one, but a little bit more expensive. But if you need to spend a bit of money, I would spend it on the pedals for sure, not the steering wheel. Steering wheel would be the next thing. And then once you have this very good stuff, if you have very good pedals, very good steering, you need a very good sim rig. You need a very stiff rig, stiff chassis, so that your seat is not moving that much. But that would be the step, just pedals, main thing, going together with a good computer and good graphics, because you need to see the real thing. You need to see what you want to see, and if there is a lag, if there is a delay, you're not really going to be as precise on your driving. And then the pedals is because iRacing just requests that good pedal feel, otherwise it's madness. And I would promote Hoisingveld because it's the ones I'm working with. But there's a lot of good things on the market, which you can spend a little bit of money there, and then you're good to go against the top guys.
Okay, well, these are great tips. Thank you very much, Danny. You heard it here first. Juncadella's tips on that. So this weekend, let's preview the weekend. All-Star race on R Factor 2 is happening. 4 p.m., that's UK time. That's 5 p.m. For Central Europe on Saturday, 28th of March. That's tomorrow. These are the participants that are taking place in there. Out of those guys, they're moving around. Who are you most looking forward to seeing, Danny?
So, from these legends, I got to race against Juan Pablo Montoya the last few races, and that's really cool, because I started getting interested into racing when he was racing in Formula One. And obviously Emerson Fittipaldi, big name. He's a good friend of my family, my uncle, and mean, look at the names; it's just impressive. Oriol Servia, of course, one of my colleagues from Spain, from Catalonia as well. So looking forward to see how he does. And I want to beat them all. To be fair, I want to beat all the drivers and give the big sim racers a run for their money. So we'll try my best for Saturday.
Okay, well, best of luck with that, Danny. And also this weekend is the Porsche Tag Heuer Super Cup kicking off on iRacing. Now, you won't be able to watch this. It's going to be happening internally as it's not being streamed. But this is just the preliminary, so you will be able to watch it soon. And that goes into the next round. If the prize money is $200,000 US, that's going to put a bit of pressure on people. We can see the schedule, but Danny, this is $200,000 up for grabs. Pressure's on. You said you get sweaty. These drivers are going to be very sweaty during that.
Oh yeah, I mean these guys. This is a really tough championship. I think Max Verstappen qualified for that one, and I have two colleagues from my AAA esports team as well racing there. So it's gonna be wow. That those events people really need to follow because it's gonna be a very 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 big one, and the top sim racers, especially from iRacing, are all there. So I could actually watch somehow because you can join from the game from iRacing. You can watch them. You can watch them race from the game itself. But yeah, like you say, I think it's not gonna be broadcast this one, but from the next one, there's that's obviously gonna go live and we're all going to watch that.
Well, look forward to watching that. It's going to be a very, very exciting weekend. We're coming to the end of the show. Don't forget that this is the first ever Nitro Nights. There's tinkering. There's things that have got to happen in terms of lag, but this is really the setup. And I think we've started it beautifully with yourself, Danny. A fantastic guest for the first show. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, of course, man. It's great to talk to you guys and to you, Tom, of course, about all the sim racing activities. And like we said, this is the time. This is the right time to talk about this, to make it grow, make it viral, and keep racing, keep finding activities for us while we are on lockdown and trying to stay active. And that's the best way. So I cannot complain that much about this situation.
No, well, you look very comfortable there. I know that you have a girlfriend in where you live and you need to go and socialize. So I'll let you do that, Danny. But don't forget, to everybody who's been watching, we are on Twitter. So you find out constantly information is going on our Twitter page and also on YouTube, where you can watch the next episode and this one back if you wanted to, which will be happening on Monday. Then again, next show will be Wednesday and Friday. So those are the 3 days: Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you so much for watching. And we look forward to seeing you again on Monday. Danny, all the best and best of luck for your race of the weekend.